The Word Localities tool can be very useful to understand generational differences. Let's say we're now interested in looking into millennials, or maybe even into the difference between millennials and Generation Z. We can go into the demographics and pick up different age groups. So let's say we want to look into the Generation Z, so we're going to take 18 to 24 years old. And if we want to compare them to millennials to understand what are the differences between the two groups, we'll pick 25 to 34 years old among the reference group. We will do this journey globally, so we will look into the group in all the countries that are present into the Wave 2020 of the Glocalities survey. We are ready to start the journey, and we can name it Gen Z versus Millennials. In a couple of seconds, we will discover the main differences. So if we look at the value segments to start with, we see that the Gen Z is much more likely to belong to the segments of the creative and the challengers when compared to the millennials. This means that Generation Z is more likely to belong to the explore part of the graph. They're more into discovering new things and be free, while the millennials, in relative terms, are more likely to be willing to belong to a group and to belong to a community, belong to a family. If we look at the percentages behind that, we will see that, for instance, the segment of the challengers is much more represented among Generation Z than among the millennials. So it's the 37% versus the 28%, while the segment of the socializers is more represented among the millennials. So globally, 12% versus 7%. If we have a look at the value cards, we see that Generation Z is more likely than average or than an average millennial to be fascinated by luxury, by success, but also by adventure and ambition. They're also more likely to be brave or want to be brave. The millennials, on the other hand, are more likely to find tradition important or being healthy and vital. This is, of course, in relative terms, because if we will see that also for the millennials, being traditional in absolute sense is not that important. If we look at the sustainability topics, we will see that Generation Z is much more likely than the millennials to be concerned with gender equality, but also reducing inequalities and quality of education. Maybe because these are topics, especially gender equality, that have been popping up in the media very often recently. And quality education is also something that affects them personally. If you look at the issues that they're concerned about, sexual rights, art and culture, and protection of minorities are also more likely to be important to Generation Z than to millennials. And they're also more likely to be volunteering, discuss the topic with other people, or seek additional information to learn more about the issues that they care about. Now, if we wanted to have a look at the Generation Z and do an analysis specifically for some countries, so comparing, for instance, Generation Z in France compared to Germany, we would just have to select the two countries. So I selected France for the target and I will select Germany for the reference. We will go back to the demographics and select again, the age group, so 18 to 24 in the target and 18 to 24 in the reference. Here we will see how the two generations compare across countries and understand a bit more also about the cultural differences. You're now ready to start your journey. Have fun and let us know if you have any questions.